some more questions for me that I don't think have been addressed to me. I feel like there's been a great job by the Clintonville Police Department about addressing things about me, but when I try to get them addressed to me, I'm met with, I'm not going to comment. I'm met with a lot of, you can get that, by a Freedom of Information Act, or, I'm not really getting met with a whole lot of, yeah, Jason, we see you're freaking out over there because you're pretty certain we want to kill you. Like, maybe we could reach out a little bit and, like, say something. But even if, I have to go back to the beginning, because honestly, my head is spinning. I don't even have all the questions written down. The biggest thing not the biggest thing, I guess, of course I'm wondering, with so much video available to you that could maybe, answer a lot of questions that are being asked about this incident, for the small price that it would take to put those on a disc, do you feel that it's not worth it? Like that it's not worth that effort? Like, is there? Because that video is available to me, by request, and I'm not special, and I know I could do that, but I think I would hope that this incident is special, and even if it doesn't address me personally, don't you think maybe the incident should be addressed with all the footage, like just forthcoming, transparent, in your own words,
So Jason, I heard most of what you said, but you're kind of, it's soft. I don't know if you have me on speakerphone or not, but if you do, that's fine. Just hold up the phone closer when you're talking.
Okay.
What I want to say is, last Wednesday, I placed a phone call to you, and I was going to, that phone call, the purpose of that was to inform you that your complaint you filed was called to inform you that I was sending it to another law enforcement agency for the investigation. Unfortunately, you did not give me the time to say that because you hung up. That was the conversation when I called.
Sir,
you didn't identify
and
yourself.
I asked for you,
yeah,
and I said it's Frietag from the Foothill Police Department.
off record, you said that, sir.
Okay, but I told you who I was.
And that's the same statement you gave me when I asked you to identify yourself for the record.
You acknowledged that you knew it was me.
I acknowledge on the video that you called, sir. I say, this is the chief, this is his voice, this is him. I'm not saying it's not you. What I'm saying is you guys have a very bad habit of not identifying yourself, and it is frightening, especially when you don't say police, you call from a restricted line, and then you will not identify yourself for the record. What in the hell, man?
Jason, if you're not aware, every police department that makes a phone call, 90% of them come up restricted.
I've never had somebody say that they would not identify themselves for the record. I've never had somebody just repeat to themselves that I told you who I was, and I say, I contacted a lawyer, I want your name for the record, and you just keep talking. Yeah, I told you who I was, because you thought I was going to go away then, but now there's people, and they're watching, and they're listening, and they're talking to you. And I heard your conversation with FTP last night, and I was very impressed by your composure, and but I would just ask that now you back some of that up with actions such as you said you want to be transparent, man, that's important to you, that's something that's apparently dear to your heart, and I'm asking you to do that for the small price of these videos. I am able to come pay for them. I would go broke doing so, but
So to answer or follow up on your statement that you just made, that is what I'm doing is having another agency look at everything and do the investigation.
correct. But I don't I have a right to see what they're seeing? Dude, don't you think the public, who cares? These guys care. More people have seen this than there are people in the city. Many times more. People care. Beyond, they're all the way in South Dakota caring. Like, and here you are hiding things in Clintonville, Wisconsin. Like, can we have the video?
I'm not hiding anything.
You said you want to be transparent. I'm asking you to transparently release the video, the whole video. You released part of it. You're not scared of the video. You're only scared of the first 20 minutes or so. Why is that?
But Jason, you're putting work into my mouth.
Can we see them, please? Then?
That is for overthinking.
Can you tell me the reason that they aren't being released?
It's a fact.
Okay, can we remedy my opinion then? I promise I will remedy my opinion if I can get an intelligent answer to why there's only part of the video shown and you're unwilling to release the whole video. Just that, officer. The video you've already released.
That wasn't the first time you went to my vehicle.
Why? Yeah, that was not the initial. That wasn't the first time he came to the vehicle. You showed well into the traffic stop. And so I'm asking you just the video that you released, the one that you've already put your hands on or whatever, and released to the public. I ask that you release the whole thing, just that video, and I will buy the rest of them.
So, Jason, what's going to happen with that, the traffic stop video?
Yeah.
The entire video, that is going to be a part, that is going to turn over to an agency that's going to be a part of the investigation.
Okay, so for $20 I can get it, but for free I cannot, nor can the public.
No.
They get the first half free, and then the second half free, the first half you start charging. This sounds like a crack dealer, man.
No, Jason, that is...
Can we get the whole video, sir?
That again is your opinion.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on then. I'm taking that as a no. We cannot have the whole video unless I come pay the $20 and the Freedom of Information Act paperwork, correct?
And all it is come in here, there's a
Yeah.
records request.
Yeah.
And once that portion of the investigation is done,
Mm-hmm.
pay from the outside agency, that is open to open records request.
Okay, so that video won't be released in its entirety. Would you then put a note on your Facebook page that says that our accusations are unsubstantiated, and that post has turned an entire community against me? Would you at least tell them that that is only a portion of the video, and that you are in fact unwilling to release that to them in its entirety until this investigation is complete, but they're free to have the second half for now? Would you mind telling them that?
No.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. But since you are on the phone.
Oh, I have more questions here.
Last Wednesday, you will be getting most likely a phone call from another agency the next, I'm guessing within the week.
Do you know what is the name of the agency? If you know.
I just want to make you aware of it.
Who
I
it-
was attempting to tell you last Wednesday.
Okay, can I have the name of the agency? I would appreciate it if you had things to tell me last Wednesday after I told you, hold on, I'm recording, and I contacted a lawyer, so I'd like you to state your name. And you just kept saying, I told you who I was. I said, I'd like to know who you are. I told you who I was. Come on. Are you seriously defending that behavior? Are you defending that right now in front of everybody? You're defending that.
I told you who I was.
Okay, here we go. He told me who he was, folks. He told me who he was. Thank you, Chief. Sir, I also have questions about the sheriff.
Contact me. More than welcome to.
Okay, sir, also, I have questions about the sheriff being sent to the house, to her apartment. So when that happened, now this was after you already knew. I mean, I was pretty shook. You said that you watch YouTube and things like that, and you actually, some of the subscribers, you mentioned it, and so that's very cool. But I guess I would wonder about sending the sheriff in the first place. It said you guys are on record several times saying that you didn't send anybody, you don't know nothing. And then I called the sheriff, and they said that they did in fact get told by you. And then on your interview to FTP last night, you said that you did send them. So I mean, there has been nothing but lies so far.
Jason, let me explain. So that was I don't recall the date. Was that Thanksgiving Day?
I believe that was the day.
It was around one of those days, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't recall the exact date.
I can, but yeah.
What's that?
No, so I said I can. It's on video. I think the night of the 26th. So that the sheriff came tearing through, but.
Sure. So we received a welfare check, okay, at the police department. In a welfare check, when somebody calls it in, we have to follow up with that.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was in the best interest to not have us go over there, have another department to go do it.
Okay.
And the Wapaka County Sheriff's Office evidently went there and attempted the welfare check. My understanding is at some point, I don't know, that night, the next day, you called down here and spoke to an officer, inquired about it, and they stated that the Wapaka County was there because you said we were there. They said we were not. It was the sheriff's office that was there.
We asked them if they knew why, and they said no.
What's that?
We asked them if they knew why, or if you sent anybody, and they said no. It wasn't just like you were here as a department. And even if your officers weren't there, if you sent somebody else, then you were there. I mean, isn't that sending somebody by proxy? I mean, if you're using that as an arm, as an extension of yourself, the sheriff's department, then I would think that you would acknowledge presence, or at least the event. I mean, it was denied as if you knew nothing about it. I mean, I can repost that or play it if you'd like to hear that.
The officer who made the decision to have the sheriff's office go over there was not the officer I believe you talked to on the phone.
Correct, but he was second shift, and you'd think if it was deemed in the best interest of the department to have a sheriff respond outside of their jurisdiction, that the event would be known. And not only that, but it was actually streamed live, for your pleasure and whatever else. I don't know. It was streamed live, in the terror that caused, because again, nobody identifies themselves. It's redundant with the not identifying. You did say who you were, you did, but when I started recording it, because I wasn't wise enough yet to start recording every time my phone rings. The car warranty place, they've been recorded about 20 times. It's ridiculous. And so, I mean, and now I do record them. But at that time, I was asking you to state your name. I clearly say so. I clearly request it. And I'm like, will you state your name for the record?
And I'm not saying you didn't.
Well, why the reluctance from a restricted number? Do you not see how?
I told you who I was.
Yeah.
And you know it was me.
Okay. Yeah, but I said for the record, sir. That was the difference. But I get that you don't want to answer that. I don't, because it's being stepped around. I'm asking why you didn't identify yourself for the record, and you're like, I told you who I was. I know you told me who you were. I said for the record. I'm not asking if you told me who you were. I'm asking if you told me who you were for the record. And I requested on the record for the record. And your response was, I told you who I was. Just as it is right now. The exact same response in the exact same voice. With the exact same inflections and, again, redundant. And I'm asking now why. Do you not get why the sheriff's department and them coming and then their failure to identify themselves? Maybe you didn't personally give them a handshake and tag them in. I don't know. But if a call was made, hey, we're not going to even respond to this. We're going to send another agency because it's probably in the best interest of everybody that we don't respond to it. I would think that would come with some sort of a, hey, don't worry, or some kind of announcement if you're expecting children there. There was nothing except boom, 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 like somebody was coming through the door. I cannot stress that enough. Those knocks are then repeated after the sheriff's department cars are gone. We're absolutely scared. My pants are taken off in a video because I'm afraid somebody's going to kill me, man. I'm not a whack job. I mean, it was insane. Like the amount of force that was put on that door with no identification, and then you guys denying knowledge of it. Everything just seems very, very dirty. Like you said, no, you didn't send me. You don't know anything about it. you just say you did know something about it, that you sent somebody and you made the judgment call to do so. I'm sure that's not made at the officer level, at the patrol officer level. I'm sure that call came from above him. I'm curious, I guess now I've asked myself the question, where did that call come from that they would send somebody out? Yeah, hey, how about that?
Are you asking who called in the concern?
I'm asking who made the judgment call within the ranks of the department that they would send a sheriff outside of the sheriff's jurisdiction instead of responding themselves. Who made that judgment call?
A supervisor on duty.
Do you have the name of that supervisor at all?
That day, it would have been second shift is Sergeant Wendorf.
Okay, so that would have been the sergeant that I spoke to then, who said that he didn't know anything?
Who did you talk to?
I guess I can, I'll attach that video to the comments on this video, and then,
You don't know that, you don't...
I wouldn't without playing the video back. It is all posted there on Facebook, though. Every single allegation that's unsubstantiated in the words of the department. I would appreciate if those words were addressed properly in a more sensitive manner than turning my whole community against me on top of what has already been done. But those issues would be addressed shortly, I guess. Let me look here. So, how many times has Clintonville, are you aware, could you get back to me on a, for the record, you know, again, how many times has been responded for a welfare check on that, and that's another thing I have to address is the apartments, and what I mean by my community being turned against me is I was recently given a thing from CMS Management. They manage Valley Crest Apartments in Clintonville, and I've been told that it's considered trespassing if I come on the property anymore, citing police contacts, recent charges, blah, 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 all things that aren't true, but all go right back to the Clintonville Police Department, and now I'm not allowed on her property. I was wondering, I just want to get this on record because I have ADD and I chase my ass. I was just talking to somebody about this. Like, I do it a lot, like when I'm trying to say stuff. So, like, what was I just saying? Yeah.
About being kicked off my property.
Yeah, about kicked off her property, man. Like, so it seems like a lot of those concerns of theirs go back to the Clintonville Police Department. I was wondering if you guys could do anything then with them just to maybe calm their concerns. Like, no, it's not. The police contact wasn't even for me. It was another, and this is what I want to talk about also, I guess, would be in closing, is how many times you've come for a welfare check. But maybe if you could talk to the apartment about me not being a danger. I mean, unless it is the stance of the Clintonville Police Department that I'm a danger, I should be removed from Devin's property, because one of the things is she's very frightened to be alone, and I think that she has every right to be so.
I have
And
emotional support animals.
emotional support animals at her apartment, but I was removed, and I'm also a little worried to be alone.
I will attempt to answer your question. So yes, I am aware of the letter you got, because I believe the same day you got the letter, they had came down here and gave us a letter.
Yeah.
The same letter.
Yep.
And that is the management who made that decision. How they formed that decision, you would have to ask them. Now, did they call here and inquire? They did not talk to me, and I can't say if they talked to anybody here about any sort of situation. So that is a question you're going to have to ask them of how did they form their opinion and serve that notice out.
Okay, so you did receive a copy of the notice, and given that there are, like I said, there are so many views, so maybe it could be misinterpreted that these are police interactions or some sort of misconduct or fault on my behalf. So I guess I was wondering if you would be willing to address them. Like, I mean, I know you can't say, hey, he has to be allowed on your property. I mean, they'll answer, you know, themselves and separately if they should. I don't know why they'd wanted.
What
dip their toes in this. I don't.
Jason, what I can do is say or another management company calls and wants to know how many times they've been at specific address. Yes, that is subsequent to record. We would certainly provide that. So if they were to call and say, how many times have you been at this place, we would tell them.
Would you supplement that with any information like, but let it be noted this was no fault of their own, and we actually turned around and left every time we came, and we gave them no citations, no tickets. As a matter of fact, in the issues, in the words of the department, there were no issues.
And oftentimes, Jason, we may, so let's not use you as an example.
I'd like to use me as an example. I do not want to be generic, sir. I'm not asking, you to be generic, and I'm just at specific incidents.
If there might be somebody at a residence that we might have had 25 contacts over 5 months, well, 15 of those, they could have been a victim of a theft complaint. And so when somebody in management were to get the record, see how many times we've been at an address, they may have those follow-up questions.
So if somebody's been robbed 15 times, they can be removed from their property, and you won't say anything, like even if they say like
I'm sorry, I missed the first part, Jason. What did you say?
what I'm saying is, so you're saying if somebody's a victim of a robbery or something and the police respond, so the police department stance is that it's okay to ban people from the property for being victims? Because I'm a victim, and so is this hypothetical person that you mentioned in the theft. He was a victim, so it seems that there's a common string here of being victims and removed from the property. So I can see how that would apply to me. I'm asking you then to apply to my specific situation. I'm not in a generic situation. I'm being very specific, and a very specific letter that currently would have your department responding to arrest me, according to them, to if I was to enter her property again, and this is due, cited by them again, because the police have responded. There's been no merit to any of the response. There is no trouble. We are in no trouble. I'm telling you in front of all these people that these people have banned me from the property, and she is scared to return to her home, sir. Do you feel no need to address this either? Because damn, is nothing being addressed by your department. It is horrible.
Somebody who is the owner or in control of a property.
So no, they won't say anything. I do not have all day to chase my tail with you, sir. I have asked the questions very specifically. So then again, I would ask you, and this would be a number, how many times has the Clintonville Police Department or somebody that they have subsequently sent responded to child welfare checks at 251 Morning Glory Drive, apartment, Devon's apartment, if we could not say that publicly.
Let me just write down that address, okay?
It should be in your reports also, I would hope.
What's that?
I said it should be in your reports also, I would hope,
Well,
because...
we can search by an address. 251 West Morning
Glory Drive.
What apartment?
Number 4.
One second. Okay, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm having the dispatcher look, okay?
Fantastic.
Jason, are you looking for specific dates, like from this time to this time?
Yeah, how about we just, all those that would pertain to, the past tenant would obviously not matter, but,
So
yeah.
when did she move in about, so we can go from that date
almost 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago. So,
so 2018?
sure, yep.
So 2018 till now.
Could have been 19 because I just had Gabriel. But either way, it should be happening.
And then I would also ask that we could narrow that down, because about, what is it, 90 days ago that we'd really start seeing any kind of. And then actually within the last 90 days also, if you could narrow it down to there, because it'll be a nice contrast from the last 2 years to the last 90 days.
All right, 1 second, Chief.
Because it was only about 2 weeks ago that we got pulled over.
And then they've only responded once since then. But since I've become an issue.
But none of the calls had anything to do with you.
No, they're attacks. But maybe at least now somebody at the department would look at that and say, okay, it's a little harassing at some point.
Yeah, because you have the fire.
Jason, do you know if there has been, for you and Devin, aware of many welfare checks to that place for you guys?
No, in the past 2 years, or especially not, but in the past 90 days, I guess since I've become her boyfriend, there's been actually an increase of pretty much all of them. However, but who's responded, what agent were called, I don't know, but I do know that there was police accompaniment at every single one of them that I'm aware of.
Sure. Searching by the apartment isn't working out. She's gonna try a different search.
Okay.
And one of the people that called the welfare check on me was found here with a bag. So, like, how credible. Did I take that picture? No.
And you're just looking for welfare checks, Jason?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't suppose like that. I mean, yeah, we've already, I guess, documented the time the officer looked in her windows and then wrote her a ticket. But we...
I'm looking here.
Moving on.
Okay, on 11/26, so that would have been Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it looks like on the 20th.
So the 20th and then the 26th?
That's correct.
So that'd be twice in 1 week period?
Yes.
And that seemed appropriate then to the Clintonville Police Department to respond twice in 1 week to a child welfare check.
What do you suggest we do when we get a call from a concerned
I
person?
guess I would ask if you would, citing somebody's known, I would hope it was known by this time to you that really did not, police there didn't seem very wise. It was in poor taste, sir. And then you recognize that because you recused yourself, you recused your department. Whoever decided that, I don't know, you're the chief. I would hope that you would take responsibility for your department. So I would say that the Clintonville Police Department responded then 7 times or twice in 7 days twice in 1 week for a child welfare check. There's at least one time right before that, within the last 30 days, surely. So that'd be 3 times within 30 days, twice within 7 days that a child, that was a welfare check was initiated. Both of those times, I believe, if it was the 20th, that would have been the day after our incident that you came. And then it would have been 6 days later that you sent a sheriff then for a welfare check. So once the day after our complaint, and then 6 days later, you initiate another welfare check. And this seems appropriate to you because you asked me, what would you suggest I do? And I would say, if I was in charge of a police force and I knew that these people didn't want to be bothered by the police because they were afraid of us, or if I'm saying that I didn't know that, but I still sent the sheriff. I mean, so this was known. The decision was based on the fact that we had this issue. So then twice in 7 days, and both of those times, they range from the day after our complaint until that day. That seems appropriate. And you're asking me what you should do. And if I said to you that I think you should use your reasoning skills, your deductive reasoning, and realize that any reasonable person wouldn't bother somebody twice in 7 days, and then the second time send a department that wasn't even my own because I knew that it was improper for me to go there myself. This just seems awful. Like, nothing seems to make anything feel better about this. Like, the more answers, like, it's the more dirty.
Liability if we get a phone call of a welfare check and we don't do anything about it?
Is your plan then, sir, that there's 17,000 people?
Why don't you ask why they think a welfare check should be made?
Yeah, like, isn't there any kind of questioning? Like, okay, guys, we've been there. Now, it would be 3 times, say, in 2 weeks or something? Like, if you went back? Like, so if somebody calls you today, you're going to send a sheriff back? Is that what's happening? Or you said another officer? Would you respond with police presence? How would that be addressed if there was a call placed to you right now? As a matter of fact, hey, you mind checking on the welfare of that or Devin Caswell? I mean, is this really what it's come down to? That, I mean, now what, you're going to send cops at her? Because I said that,
So
you
when
know.
we get a welfare check, those questions are asked, why a welfare check, or generally somebody who's calling it in gives a reason why they want a welfare check done.
Okay, do you know the reason that was cited for the last welfare, or the last several?
No, I do not know that offhand.
I'd like to know. You have a callback number if you were able to come upon that information. Would you mind forwarding that to me? Because I guess in summary, again, I think the only headway that has been found, unless I misinterpreted what you said, is that you will address the issue. I hope it's not with just an all-out deletion of the footage, the video that you showed, but if you would address the issue of my community being turned against me. I've actually been ran out of her apartment building, all part of my community being turned against me. I'm asking you to just address those issues with the fact that we are not criminals, that we have, and we haven't even filed formal complaints. I feel a little better now that this will be getting out. So tomorrow, I plan on picking up some complaints then to just about some of the issues that we've talked about here on this. So those have to be, so far it's just the sexual assault and the legal search and just those things from that night. But I guess, the more I talk, the more I learn. And yeah, there's more questions. I mean, this is twice in a week, immediately after, the day after this happened to us, not by us, to us. And then several days later, sending us into complete panic, man. This is ridiculous. And then I'm asking for any kind of assurance that I wouldn't be arrested if I accompanied Devin back to her home so she could feel safe. I am asking for an assurance of that. And I'm also asking you for some kind of assurance that you will not send police, especially not without identifying themselves, hopefully calling first so that we feel some sort of security for the next person. Should they, I mean, what if all of these viewers took a pot shot at us? I mean, you're sending police every time then? I mean, I would ask you to address that also. You know, that's kind of scary, man.
So Jason, I don't know if there are questions or comments you just stated.
Yeah, both, really. I'm dumbfounded, and I guess, I don't know.
So your question of, if you go back to Devin's property, you said you want reassurance you're not going to get arrested. If the owner or the person who controls that property does not want somebody there, you can't be there.
Understood. So I would be arrested when I accompanied Devin Caswell back to her home, where she feels safe, so she could feel safe being alone. I'm just asking if I will be arrested. I realize you said they can't be there. I understand that. I'm asking if your department or the sheriff's department, it's not their jurisdiction, so you'd have to send them, will be there to arrest me when I accompany.
We do have jurisdiction in the city of Clintonville because that lies within Wilpaca County.
Yeah, I know that they can respond, but they said that they wouldn't. We have that on tape too. They said they wouldn't normally. Yeah, they wouldn't normally respond here unless they were sent. You know, so I guess I'm just asking if will I be arrested when I accompany Devin back to her apartment, where she could feel safe, where she feels safe. Her children's bed's there, but I mean her children are no protection against the police. You know, so it's kind of, we're scared not to have each other's back with a camera. Who could blame us? And then now, part of my community being turned against me, and I will assert by the Clintonville Police Department, is that I'm being told that I can't go to that property without being arrested. So, you know, an immediate remedy to that would be like, okay, they might have said it, but we know better and won't put you in handcuffs because, maybe you can't say that. I'm asking you if I'll be arrested. I don't know. Me accompanying her back there at some point is not a question. What's the question is, will I be arrested when I do so, or do you decline to comment?
What I would say is, and hear me out, we agree that you've been served a notice that you're no longer allowed there. If you are there and they are aware of it and they contact the police and we respond, most likely would be some sort of enforcement action taken.
Sure. So when I asked if I'd be arrested, that's the short version, and even the long version, it wasn't answered. It was like, I know enforcement action. I'm asking if I would be arrested, sir.
What could happen is either you get issued a citation or you would be arrested.
Fantastic, sir. And you're not willing to address that issue with the apartment? Because I could see how that would be some... If I was you, I would want to.
Me, they certainly can, Jason.
Yeah, it just seems like you're going through a lot to not make yourself take any responsibility or even step up to remedy any of this. You do. If you called there, I bet you'd be amazed at how much of this you control, sir. I'd assert that you control it all. Thank you very much. You have a good day.